Good morning, dear students. Welcome to OP1 session. If you recall the last session, we started unit number 6, and in unit number 6 we were discussing about exception handling. We said exceptions are the runtime errors, and we need to Java is having a special support for that. It provides the built-in classes, built-in object is there, exception, and we can just handle it with the help of try catch block. We can also use throw and throws keyword, right? Along with that, we also discuss about the difference between throw and throws, right? So this was the discussion last time. We discussed what are the exception types, right? And we said how the throws and throw works. What are the differences? Is there any doubt, any query in these topics? Anybody? I'm using single screen, so please unmute yourself and tell me. Is there any query or doubt?
All clear.
Okay, fine. So let us move ahead and discuss further. Yesterday we were discussing an example, and in that example we were discussing about a circle with exception class. And in this class, we said that the class is having a private data member radius, private double radius, and we have parameterized constructor method having the same name as your class name, which takes one double variable as an argument. So we have circle with exception double new radius, right? And inside parameterized constructor, we are calling the setter method. So I was discussing yesterday that whenever we have a class object, what we can do is we can set the values in a two-way, right? Whenever you have a class, let us say we have a class circle and it is having some private variable radius, right? So this radius can have values in a two-way. Let us suppose we have a driver class main, right? Right, and in that if we have taken some input with the help of scanner class, let us say we have double d equal to scanner object dot next double, right? So this is like whatever user enter from the input, right? Right, and the second way is when you create the object. Let us say you are creating circle C is equal to new circle and you are using 2.3, right? Right, so either this way, right? So this is parameterized constructor, right? Okay, now you can do this or you can use the setter method. Suppose you are creating the object, right, and you call a default constructor, which is constructor without argument, and you can have some method. Here you can pass the value whatever user has entered, you can pass that, right? So either you can pass this d here as a parameterized constructor argument, or you can set it with the set radius. Fine, fine, this is the way we can set it, set the value. So over here we may have the method which is public void set radius, right? and it will take a double argument, right? And you can just set it like fine. This is one way. This is one way. Okay. And now suppose you have parameterized constructor. If you have a parameterized constructor which is taking some argument, right? And you can call the method set method also over there. These are the various ways to set the data member values. So whatever is there in the argument, it will be given to the set, and set will set these data member. Fine. Is it clear? Is it clear? Or you can give the direct value like here 5.1 or something, whatever you want to do. Fine. So this was the example which we were discussing yesterday, and we said we have a circle class, right? And this is the data member radius. Okay, and this is your parameterized constructor which takes a new radius as an argument. Fine. And inside that we are calling the set radius. Okay. And now we were discussing the exception, and the exception says like when radius cannot be negative, because when we calculate area of a circle, we know that area of a circle is having the value pi r square, right? Pi r square. So if I am taking radius 0, it's not possible. With the 0 radius, there is no circle, right? No radius means no circle. As well, I cannot take the minus value. So these are the illegal arguments. Fine. So if user is entering it, we have to handle it in a proper way. Fine. So what we have is we are setting the radius. We have set radius. We use the keyword throws. Yesterday we learned that it can be used with the method if method is throwing an exception. So whenever user is entering some value, and at that time we are checking that if radius is greater than or equal to 0, then we are setting up our data member radius, this one. We are giving value to it, right? But if it is something which is less than 0, that is minus value, right? At that time, we can say it's an illegal argument. Radius cannot be negative. In case of 0, it's fine because at that time area will be 0. Yes or no? Radius 0. 0 into 0 into 3.14159, which is ultimately giving us 0. 0 radius, 0 area. That's fine. But if somebody is entering minus, we know that radius can't be minus. In that case, we will throw an illegal argument exception. Right? So understand the difference between throw and throws. Throws will throw an exception, right? And throw will be inside method, and it is used to give you particular message to the end user. Fine. So if we recall the entire example, if we discuss, we have class circle with exception. We have double radius as a data member, which is of private type. We have a parameterized constructor circle with exception, which is taking one double type of argument. When the object is created with value, we are going to call set radius and we will set the value. But set radius is going to return us, it is going to throw an argument, exception in case if radius is negative. Apart from that, we have get radius to read the value of radius, whatever has been set, and we have find area, right, which is returning us the answer of the area calculation of a circle. Fine. Is it clear? Should I move to the driver class? Yes or no? Should I move to the driver class? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So we are moving to the next discussion. So this is our driver class. We have a class taste circle with exception, and in that inside that we have main method. As we have main method over here, this is our driver class. So we are keeping try catch block here because when user will enter the minus value, we may have exception, right? So that's why we are putting try and catch block. And as we are aware that if argument entered by the user is minus, we will have the exception. Fine. So what we are doing is we have a circle with exception. We created an object C1 and we gave the value 5. What will be the situation in this case? It will go to the parameterized constructor and here it will set 5. Here it will give 5 and this 5 will be given further to set radius, and 5 is greater than or equal to 0. That's why condition is true and data member radius will be set as a 5. In that case, if I am calling the find area, it will calculate 5 into 5 into 3.14 into 3.14. Fine. Okay. So in that case, we'll not have any exception. But suppose user is entering minus 5. And then we are calling the find area method. When object C2 is created with the argument or the parameter to the constructor value minus 5, it will go to the constructor. New radius will be set as a minus 5. When we'll call the set radius, we will call the set radius. At that time, the data variable which is minus 5. So it will check minus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. Condition is false, and that's why it will go to the else part. And it will run this statement which says throw new illegal argument exception. This is object. You see what we are writing is throw new. So it's an object. Fine. So illegal argument exception object is thrown with the message radius cannot be negative. So in that case, it will come here and instead of printing this one, it will go here system.out.println exception ex, and it will print that radius cannot be negative, right? Again, further we have try catch block. It will not terminate the execution. It will go to the next line. Circle with exception. Object 3 is created. And now we have radius 0. Again, it will go to the parameterized constructor, right? And it will put 0 here. So now set radius method is called with the value 0, right? It will go inside. It will check 0 is greater than or equal to 0. Of course, 0 is equal to 0. So it will set the radius 0. In that case, there is no exception because our if statement is running. And as it is set, now with the help of C3, if I am calling find area, it will work with the radius 0 into 3.14159. In that case, it will, when I call the line C3 dot find area, it will give me 0, right? It will print 0. So we will have two answers of area, that is 5 into 5, 25 into 3, something 75 something. Here with the exception message, that is radius cannot be 0, and again with the area 0 will have the answer. So 3 print statement will get in the output. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So let us move ahead and discuss the new topic. So this was the program which we seen yesterday, but we could not find time to discuss in detail. That's why I have repeated it. Fine. Now, along with the try and catch, you have one more block added to the exception handling. We call it finally. Right? Now what finally does? We know that try is the block which is trying that whether we'll have that exception may occur, right? And catch will run when exception is occurring. But along with that, we have the third portion, that is finally. And what finally does? Finally close, or the entire block, whatever statements we have, 2, 3 or 1, whatever number of statements you have written as a final statement, it will be executed whether the exception occurred or not. Whether the exception occurred or not, regardless to the exceptional situation, right? Java is always executing the finally statement, right? Are you getting the situation? What I'm saying is, try, we say try means it will execute if exception is not occurring. Catch, this will execute if exception is occurring. And now we are saying finally, we said regardless of whether the exception occurs or not, finally is going to be executed. Fine, fine, right? So we are having possibly three cases where we may have the exception. Suppose where we have the finally block execution. Suppose there is no exception in the try block, right? If no exception in the try block, right, then after the execution of a try block, final statement is executed, right? And the next statement after the try statement is the finally block to be executed. Suppose there is an exception in the try block, right? If a statement goes an exception or error in the try block, right, in that case we will half execution of the try block will be done, because the point from where the exception occurs, your try block stops the execution, and then the program control will move to the catch block, right? So entire catch block will be executed. In the second case, what we are saying is, we are saying that try is done when no exception, right? And even if no exception is arise, we can go with the just a second. If no exception is arise, then try block will entirely executed, and after execution of try block, the final statement will be executed. In the second case, when a try block starts execution and we arise to a point, let us suppose there are 10 lines and line number 5 is causing the exception, right? In that case, line number 6 onward execution won't happen. From the 5th line, program control will go to the catch block, right? It will go to the catch block, and catch block will be executed, and after catch, finally block will be executed, right? Finally block will be executed. And the third situation, if one of the statement cause an exception that is not caught in the catch block, and the other statement of the block are skipped. Are you getting the point? Because what we are doing is, with the catch, we are specifying the object type. Suppose there is a situation that there is one statement or one line of code which is causing an exception in the try block, fine, and that is not caught in the catch block, right? In that case, even if the try block is skipped because there is an exception, and that's why the try block will entirely not be executed because exception occurred, even that exception is not caught by catch block, and that's why catch block is not executed. So what is the situation? Neither try nor catch, none of them is executed. Still, finally close will be executed. Still, finally close will be executed, right? And the exception will be passed to the caller method. Fine, right? So what is the situation? Situation says either the try block successfully executed, no exception, still finally will work. Suppose try block is having the exception, then catch block will be executed, still finally will work. Suppose try executed and exception arise which is not caught by catch, right? Still finally block will be, or finally close will be executed. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Should I move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we have one more thing. We call it as a rethrowing. Rethrowing. Throw is like throw it once. Rethrow, you are throwing the exception second time. Fine. So Java allows you to have the exception handling through rethrow an exception if the handler cannot process the exception, or simply it wants the caller to be notify the exception, right? Suppose you are having try and catch block, right? This is the syntax. This is the syntax, right? What we have is, up till now what we did, we had a try block, we had a statement, exception occurred, we went to the catch and we printed the message. We said some message and that's it, right? So this was simple, try and catch, right? So here the exception was thrown from the try and it was catch by the catch block, right? So this is catching the exception. Now what we said, exceptions will be caught by a message caller method. We are saying that even try is throwing an exception, catch is displaying that error message, something like perform some operations before the exit. Along with that, catch can again throw an exception. So this is called rethrow. The circle one is called the rethrow. Are you getting the situation? Up till now what we did? You see, we had a try block, right? Circle example. And if it is minus, right? We said that if it is minus, then a method may throw an exception. And whatever exception is being thrown, it will be catch. So it will be catch. So here we have catch. Fine. Now over here we don't have anything. Over here we don't have any throw in the catch block because catch is simply displaying the message. Now we are saying that after this message, even here you can apply one more throw. We call it as a rethrow. Fine. Are you getting? Why we are doing so? Right now what we did is, actually the situation was when the exception is caught in the catch block, we were giving the message and that's it. It's done. But at times when a method is being called, you want the caller method to get chance to handle that exception. Are you getting the point? Right now, what is being done over here? Here set radius is throwing an exception and this is the called method and this method is called by the main method, right? So what is happening? Main method is not getting any chance. It is just simply displaying the message. But suppose main method wants to handle this throw exception which has been thrown. In that case, the main method should have chance to work on it, right? So we have a rethrow. Just to allow the other handlers in the caller to get chance to process the exception, right? Are we connected, guys? Am I communicating? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is all about rethrowing an exception. So what we learn? We learn that try, catch. These close may have the finally close also. Along with that, we said try and catch can again throw an exception. We call it as a rethrowing. Now, at times, now what is happening? We said we are having like throw, that is rethrow, and then we are allowing other method to handle it. So this is somehow creating a chain. This is somehow creating a chain, right? Are you getting? Now what is happening? Your one of your method is calling a method. For example, here main method is calling method 1, right? And method 1 may generate the exception. That's why main has put method 1 into the try catch. Again, when we are executing method 1, right? Method 1, so method 1 may also throw the exception. So this is given here. Just a second. So method 1, which may throw the exception, is being catched by here, right? Now, what is happening? Method 1, I'm so sorry. Method 1 is also calling method 2. Method 1 is calling method 2. And method 2 may also generate an exception. Method 2 may also generate an exception. And that's why when method 1 is calling method 2, this catch is for method 2. Fine. So can you see the entire chain? We call it as a chained exception. Fine. What is happening? Main is calling method 1, right? If main is calling method 1, and if method 1 may throw the exception, this is the condition. So this is being catch method 1. If method 1 is not executing properly, the exception will be catched by main method over here. But when main method is calling method 1 and method 1 starts the execution, it calls method 2. And we said that method 2 may also generate the exception. So method 2's exception is being catched over here, right? So when method 2 is called, right? Method 2 is called, we said it may throw the exception, and this throw is catched over here. Can you see the chain? This is calling this, right? And this is calling this, right? So this is the catch for this, and this is the catch for this. So this is entire chain. We call it as a chained exception. So I'm reading out the text which says, throwing an exception along with another exception forms a chained exception. And sometimes you need to throw a new exception with additional information along with the original exception. So this is called chained exception. Fine. Is it clear? So right now, if I execute this code will execute. If you will execute it, what is happening? Execution starts from main. So it will go to method 1. So method 1 will go to method 2. And there we are having a message which says new info from method 2. Right? And it will give you the new this message also, which is new info from method 1, right? So what will be the situation here? First, main will print the exception of method 1 and method 2. So can you see here, java.lang new info from method 1. This is the catch of method 1, and then again it will say new method from new info from method 2. So this is additional exception. So we call it as a chained exception. It will run, but it will give such message, java.lang.exception. Fine. Any doubt, any query? Should I move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, we can have a chance to have the custom exception classes. As I told you, being a developer, you can define the custom exception, and for that you have to use the root class of java.lang.exception. If you recall, yesterday we discussed that. I said that if you are developing a software and you want to give your own messages, your own exception, you want to like go with that, you can do it, right? So for that, what you can do is to define a custom exception. What is custom exception class? Custom exception class is a class which is inherited from the java.lang.exception, and as it is inherited, when you develop it, you have to use the extends exception code line. Now, suppose for the circle class, we want to go with the custom exception, right? So you are creating a class invalid radius exception, fine, and you can put certain logic. For example, this is the constructor invalid radius exception, and we are calling super radius plus radius. Now what is super radius? What is the use of super keyword? Can anyone tell me? What is the use of super keyword?
Super class no constructor.
Sorry?
Super class no constructor.
Exactly. And a super class kayo છે આમાં?
Exception.
Exactly. So this is our system class, right? Which is belonging to our java.lang.exception, right? And if you want to add, this is, you see, super class is already having the error message, but that error message is not like invalid radius, right? Suppose you are making a software for college management system, and you say that enrollment number should be a long value, right? And suppose user is entering ABC. You want to give a custom message, invalid enrollment number, right? So illegal argument is already there. That is the object of your java.lang.exception class. So what we are doing is we are overriding the constructor. And when I say we are overriding, or we are extending, sorry, we are having the inheritance. So we are extending the meaning. Whatever is the basic that is there, along to that we are giving an additional. So additional is invalid radius or invalid enrollment number. This is the additional code which we are adding to the constructor of a super class, right? So this is how you can define your custom exception. Is it clear? Anyone having doubt or question? Ishan? See, he is sleeping, I guess. Ishan? Keyur?
Yes, ma'am.
Read out the slide. Read the slide
Yes.
so that I can cross check who all are sleeping and who all are awake. So Keyur, read the slide.
You can define a custom expectation class by extending the java.lang.exception class. Java provides quite a few exception classes. Use them whenever possible instead of defining your own expectation classes. However, if you run into a problem that cannot be adequately described by the predefined expectation classes,
Exception.
you can create your
Exception, not expectation. It is exception.
you can create your own expectation class derived from expectation or from a subclass or expectation such as IO exception.
Okay. So though like Keyur has made it expectation, Keyur, it's exception, but it's okay. Simply I wanted to check whether you are awake or not. This is exception, and what you said is expectation. These two things are different. Expectation is like we say, no, I expect you to complete assignment. Exception is not the expectation. These two are different. But anyways, you are awake, so I'm happy that you are awake. And now onwards, I'll do this. I'll take randomly somebody and I'll ask to read so that I can connect you to the discussion. Fine. Okay, so now we are moving to the next discussion, which is about abstract class. Now, abstract class is something which is really interesting and something which is very much important from the design point of view. The keyword abstract means not showing everything, right? When you say abstract, right? Can you elaborate? Somebody can somebody elaborate this word abstract in a more good way? What is abstract? Do you know that nowadays we do have the concept of abstract painting also, right? Abstract painting. Anyways, so when I say abstract, it means that existing only as an idea, not as a physical thing. Are you getting the point? Abstract means you have an idea which is just existing. It is not there as a physical thing. Fine. The opposite word of abstract, I told you in the past also, if you are getting the meaning of the word, half of the programming language you will learn. Concrete. Concrete is the opposite word of abstract. Concrete means something which is solid. Solid in the sense, physically, we can do it, right? And abstract means only idea, not a physical thing, right? Don't write this in your final examination, okay? I'm just explaining this to make you aware what we are discussing in a technical term. So for that, you should be clear with the literature, like a meaning of the words. So abstract, it's like only idea, not physically that thing is existing. And concrete is the opposite of abstract, right? It means that solid idea is there. Solid idea is there. We call it as a concrete. Fine. Now, let us understand what is abstract class. We say an abstract class cannot be used to create an objects. Are you getting the point? Are you getting the point? Up till now, what we said? Up till now, we said like we have a class. We have a class circle. We'll have certain data member. We'll have constructors. We will have methods, and then we will create an object inside a driver class. A class containing main method, we will create certain object for the class circles. C and C1 are the object, right? And we will use those methods. We are creating the object just to access the methods and data members of a class. But now what we are saying is, we are saying that abstract is a class which cannot be used, or which object cannot be created. Suppose you have created a class circle with the abstract qualifier. You are applying a qualifier. You are adding the keyword abstract before the class circle. What does it mean? It means that when you are creating an object, this is not allowed. It will give you an error because abstract class cannot be used to create the objects, right? As well, an abstract class contains abstract methods. What is abstract? Physically not there, only idea. What we are saying is abstract class will have abstract methods, right? So how we will use it? How we will use it? We are saying that the methods of abstract class will be implemented into concrete subclass. So now we are again moving to the definition, and we are saying that abstract class is a class which cannot have the object. We can't create. And the concrete class is the class for which we can create the object. Right? So what we are doing is we will have an abstract class. We will make this abstract class as a superclass. Right? All the abstract superclass will have the abstract methods. So all those abstract methods will be implemented by the subclass, concrete subclass. Concrete subclass means the class which can have the object, the class for which we can create the object. Fine? Fine? Are you getting the point? Everybody, are you getting the point? Right? Now, why we do so? Sometimes before designing the software, or when you design a software, you don't know at what extent this class will get extended. Like what all new feature will come. I'm giving you a very simple example. When we started preparing software for Marwadi, we had a class student, right? And at that time, we had all the basic information regarding students. Later, we came up with the idea of a club. We have various technical and non-technical clubs, right? This was started in 2013, idea of clubs, right? Now, student can enroll in the club. So, enroll to club may be the method, right? As well, mentoring was also the new idea in 2012. Before that, we were not having that concept. So mentoring or get mentor, the allocation of a teacher to you as a mentor is a method, right? You can read who is your mentor from the software. So get mentor details, fine, office number, name, and all you can take. So when class student was designed initially, when software designing started in 2009, right, there were few features. Later, we came up with the idea of a club. Later, we came up with the idea of mentoring. And now we are just keep on adding new things, right? There are so many things such as like we have nurturing student project. In nurturing student project, we are allowing you to be enrolled in a specific course or of a technology learning. This is the idea started in 2020, right? These all are the methods which need to be added. So as a class design, what we will do is the class, abstract class, is just an idea. The implementation of that method will be inside the inherited class. Now here, students enrollment number, class, admission date, year, branch, everything is there. Along with that, I want to enroll the student to the club, right? So this is new feature. So this can be added later, and it has to be implemented by the subclass, and that's why to have the software extensibility, we are going with the abstract class. Usually, class design should be ensure that a super class contain all the common feature of its subclass. All the common feature. But sometimes a super class is an abstract that it cannot be used to create a specific instance, right? Such class are referred as an abstract class, right? Such class are referred as an abstract class, right? In abstract class, we will have abstract method, right? And an abstract method cannot be contained in a non-abstract class. If I am having an abstract method, it must be member of an abstract class. A non-abstract class is the concrete class from which we can create the object, right? Cannot contain an abstract method, right? So if a subclass of an abstract superclass does not implement all abstract method, the subclass must be defined as an abstract. What does it mean? It means that suppose I have abstract class 1. In that I have methods. As I said, abstract class will have the abstract method. So I'll have abstract void method 1, which will not have the definition, only declaration, right? That's why we call it as an abstract. We'll have abstract void, let us say integer method 2, which takes some double argument. Fine, right? So these are the two abstract methods. I'm saying that the abstract class must have a concrete subclass. So let us say class 2 extends class 1. What does it mean? It means that all the methods which are there as an abstract must be implemented inside your subclass. Here we have to write the definition of those methods, right? All the abstract method must be implemented. Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Are you getting the point? Yes or no? What I have is abstract class 1. It is having method M1 and M2. If class 2 is the concrete class, it must implement all the methods. But suppose class 2 is implementing only one method, M2 is not being implemented. In that case, class 2 must be abstract. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Along with that, you have to note one important point which says all the abstract methods are non-static. Right? Right? Okay. What we said, non-abstract subclass extended from the abstract class. So our subclass cannot be abstract. If an abstract superclass does not implement all the methods, then the subclass must be defined the abstract. Fine. So this is all about, okay, one more thing we have here, which is, I guess we will be running out of time. No, it's still, we have 5 minutes. It ends at 11, right? So we'll just complete this point. So we said, as I said, abstract class, we can't create the object. So we call it like abstract class cannot be instantiated. Instantiated means to create an object. Fine. We can't do it. As I told you, if I have a class, C1 is abstract. So I can't, class 1 is abstract. So I can't write in any driver class the statement like this. This is called instantiation. This will give me error, right? Because abstract class cannot be instantiated using new operator, right? We cannot use it. But if you can still define its constructor, you can still have the constructor, right? So what does it mean? You can't create the object, and that's why you cannot use it with the new operator, but you can create the constructor. You can create the constructor which will be invoked in the subclass. Fine? Fine? As well, a class that contains the abstract method must be abstract. As I told you, the abstract method should be there in the abstract class, right? Right? However, we can also define an abstract class that does not contain any abstract method. It is not necessary, but it may have the abstract method. So there are chances that we will have an abstract class which does not contain any abstract method, right? Right? In this case, you cannot create an instance of class using the new operator. Fine? Fine? As well. A subclass can override method of a superclass defined as it is in abstract. That's what we did over here, right? We have overridden. We give the definition in class 2, the void m1, which is method of class 1. So it can override. Okay. So it is very much useful to have the implementation of a method in a superclass becomes invalid in the subclass. In this case, we must define the subclass as an abstract. And a subclass can be abstract even if it has a concrete superclass. Are you getting? There are chances that that may happen. That suppose my class 1 is not an abstract. That's a concrete class, normal class, right? If I have a class 1 as a normal class, still I can create an abstract subclass. Fine? 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 So here is the example. I have abstract class figure having the data member dimension 1 and dimension 2. Any figure will have 2 dimension, right? Height and length, for example, for rectangle. So this is the constructor. As we said, an abstract class cannot create the object, but it may have constructor. So this is constructor. Now, this is the abstract method area. As it's the abstract, it is defined in the child class. Now, rectangle is a child class. Rectangle is a child class of class figure. So we wrote public rectangle extends figure. Over here, rectangle is a concrete class because we don't have abstract keyword. Now, this is the constructor of rectangle, which in turn is calling the superclass constructor. So over here, what it will do when you are writing a and b, this a and b will be given to dimension 1 and 2, right? Because we are calling the superclass constructor. Fine. And that's why a and b will be set with the help of this. Okay. Now we have double area. So double area was an abstract method of a parent class figure, which is now overridden. We overridden it, and we say it inside area of rectangle, and we know that area of rectangle is L into B, length into breadth, right? So we had done the multiplication, return dimension 1 and dimension 2. Now we need to write a driver class. Oh, okay. Along with that, we have one more class, which is triangle, right? Triangle. So can you see that triangle will have half BH, right? That's the equation to calculate the area of triangle. Again, it is a child class of figure. So again, it is overriding dim1 and dim2, right? And we are writing inside area of triangle. We are overriding the area method. And now half BH, right? That's the equation. So dm into d1 into dm by 2 is the equation to calculate area of triangle, right? And now this is our driver class. So we created a main method, and we are writing figure equal to new figure 1010. This is illegal. Why it is illegal? Can anyone tell me why can't I write this statement? This is in comment because I can't write it. If I'm doing that, it will give me error. Why? Why? Anyone? Why it will give me an error? Why it will give me an error? Anyone? Because figure is an abstract class. Are we connected, guys? Yes, exactly, Ramesh. Because a figure is an abstract class, and that's why we cannot create an object, and that's why we cannot use the new operator. Guys, I'm using single device, so please unmute and answer. But we can create the object of the child class. So rectangle and triangle are the child of class figure. Rectangle area of calculation is dimension 1 into dimension 2, and triangle area calculation is we are doing like dimension 1 into dimension 2 divided by 2. Now if I'm doing this, can you see that what we did? We are doing the object casting. Do you recall that object casting? What I did, I declared a object of abstract class. Now I have not used the keyword new, and that's why this line is okay. Fine, because no object is created. We are just declaring, right? And then I'm assigning R into F. I'm assigning R into F, right? It means now my figure is representing the child object rectangle. And that's why when I say area is figure f dot area, it will call the area method of rectangle. And that's why it will print 45. 45? What is the answer? 9 into 5. 45. 9 5s are 45. Okay. And then now we are overwriting the value. So figure f equal to t. And now if I call the same object area, now it is representing the triangle. So 10 into 8, 80 divided by 2, it will give me 40. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any doubt, any question? Anyone? Right? So this is all about the abstract class. Anyone having any doubt, any questions? Yes or no? Guys, please acknowledge.
No, ma'am. Clear.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so that's it for today. If we recall today's session, we discussed about abstract class and concrete class. In examination, examiner may ask you the difference between abstract class and concrete class. Right? Abstract class we cannot use with the new keyword. Concrete class is the one from which object can be created. We learn about defining the custom exception. We learned what is chained exception, what is rethrowing, and what is finally close. Fine. So this was the discussion of today. So that's it from my end. Further we'll discuss in the next session.